All right, so I was halfway through this video and I decided to change the direction I was going. So we're gonna be making some text cuts on this saw. We're gonna be trying out a different plug. I'm gonna show you how I have the head assembled. We're talking about the leaks and stuff. Just be prepared because I was making this video to go one way and then we're kind of making changes and we're end up putting this saw back into the wood just to give it a test run. So if things seemed a little goofy in this video, that's why. Alrighty, so I'm actually ready. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna make some test cuts with this. So be prepared. We're gonna see this all cutting again and we're gonna see if we can make any improvements. Alrighty, so I've been getting some comments about my sealing and some of the ways that I might have screwed up while I'm doing the custom head build. I'll just kind of show you what I figured out on the ceiling and so forth. So the reason this is happening this way is because I was releasing videos from the event that I had while I was doing this build and putting it together and sorting some things out. So the timeline is a little off. So I had that video, I have like 2 other videos, I had 2 cutting sessions before I even released that first video of showing you the project. So just to kind of give you an idea here, you're playing catch up on the videos to where I'm currently at on the actual work. So let me kind of show you what this thing looks like. And we're actually going to take a closer look at the head and see if we're starting to get any leaking yet. So you know what I mean? We're going to see if it's starting to reveal any issues yet. But I'm going to show you some of the things I did and why I did it that way and everything. Alrighty? All right, I'm gonna pull the top end of this off. Not the whole top end, I'm gonna pull the plastic all off so we can get a view in there and get a clue whether or not we're getting any leaks yet. And I'm gonna show you how I got it assembled. And, I'm guessing between the two cutting sessions, I'm probably a tank and a half of fuel so far. And, we can keep doing this and kind of see where we might be getting some failures, you know what I mean, and make changes along the way. Now, this is my first time doing this, so, I'm expecting to make mistakes along the way. And I'm going to show you some of this stuff. And, I made some mistakes already, and it's just a matter of whether or not I can, make it work. So here we go. Let me give it a close up. So there's what she looks like on there. You'll see I have it double nutted. I did that. I mean, they're lock nuts and they're still double nutted. I just did that and, I had the extra studs sitting there and I had the extra bolts, so I just did it. You know what I mean? A little bit of added security. But one of the concerns is because I machined so much off that the whole thing might want to wiggle wobble. I thought about that already. My solution that I had come up with is to actually nut it from the bottom and the top to help, kind of clamp it together and prevent that issue. But I would have had to remove that fin. And I decided to leave the fin on there, and let's see if we run into an issue before we go ahead and cross that bridge, you know what I mean? Now, as far as sealing it, I don't know, can you see up in there? I just put in some sealer. It's that high temp copper sealer. I ended up just putting some of that in there. I ended up scratching the whole O-ring idea altogether and just throwing that sealer in there. It's laying here. Where is it? Here it is. This is the sealer I just stuck in there. It's that ultra copper gasket maker. It's for exhausts, but that's what I ended up throwing in there. We'll see if it holds. Now, when I first assembled it, we had a leak there near the spark plug, and it appears to have stopped all by itself. I'm guessing just from, the first heat cycles and stuff that everything kind of, found its spot and it kind of sealed itself. But it was running down through here. You could see it like a nice little trail of blackness kind of running down there. And what you're seeing there is where I smeared it with my finger. But it hasn't gotten any worse. That's how it's been sitting. This is all thread. It's an M5 all thread. I basically did the same thing I did here. It's double nutted at the bottom with a washer. And to put it on, I basically put that double nut together on the all thread, ran it down through, and then I put a double nut in up on this side. Then I used this side here to tighten everything up kind of like a screw. So it has a double nut at the bottom, but I did like a double nut setup here, and then I turned it to where it would turn the whole all thread bolt, and I ran them down tight. That's how I assembled it. And then once that was done, I pulled the double nut back off, threw the head stuff on, torqued down these first ones. I mean, I didn't use a torque wrench, but I torqued them down to about the same. Then I came through with the other set of nuts and finished it off. I did have to elongate all of the bolt holes, as you can see, just a little bit to get her to work. I mean, this is not a head that I custom built. This is a head that came off of eBay, and I figured out that these things pretty much go right on. They're almost perfect. And if you look here, you can kind of see where the leaking was coming from, where the two pieces of the head seal right there. That's where that leak was coming out of. But it stopped all by itself. So we'll see how this works. I mean, right now we're checking to see if we get any failures. We're just running it for failures, and you can see down in there, I mean, I don't appear to see, I'm not seeing any leaks. You see? You can see some of the gasket maker stuff there. She's not leaking. So as of right now, we're about a tank and a half into it, and she's holding. Now we're just basically running it to find failures. You're gonna see some issues. Well, you guys seen some issues on the first video with the heat. The second video, I dove into that a little more, and you know, it's better. It's a lot better, but it's not 100% yet, but it's better. So yeah, that's where we're at. So far, everything seems to be working. Now, one of the things I'm going to have to do though is this carburetor. I mean, I'm running it, and I can tell you she is not happy with this carburetor setup that's on it. So I'm definitely going to have to figure something out. I'm going to pull this off, figure out a different carburetor to put in there that's bigger. I think I'm going to try, I might try a 460 carb or a 372 carb, but probably a 460 carb. They have better linkage setup for this kind of situation, where a 372 carb is set up for like a throttle cable. The 460 carb is set up for, you know, actual linkage. So I think that's what I'm going to go with, or at least I'm going to try. And then once I get that done, we'll figure out what we're going to do here for the air filter. But I want to get the carb on first, you know what I mean? But until I get to that, I'll just be running it in this form. I don't think I'm going to do much more changes. Maybe a different plug, but that's about it. So I think I might stick a different plug in it, but I don't think I'm going to make many more changes from this. So yeah, that's where I'm actually at here. And I just figured I'd release this video kind of showing you how things are working out, what I did for sealing and so forth. You know what I mean? One thing I could do here is, how about we do a compression test? So let's do a compression test, see where she's sitting at compression right now. I can tell you it doesn't feel as high as I was expecting. So, you know, I'm kind of curious. Let's go ahead and do one. I was tweaking on the tune as I was cutting, and it was, I don't know, I was bridging it up is what I was doing. You'll get a better idea when you watch the video, and you'll see I'm still getting a dark plug. So I still need to lean it out some, which, you know, I'm not surprised. I am fighting the symptoms of the Saal, you know, those heat issues. So I'm playing with the tune to kind of see, and I'm also trying to throw some more fuel at it to see if I can get a little more torque out of it. But you know, that's what the plug looks like. She's a little black. There's no brown to it. But if can you see how, look at the electrode, but you see where the threads are? See how that dark gray goes down towards the thread some? That's how much of this is still sticking out into the combustion chamber. And I need to figure something out, I think. I think I need to get one that don't have the electrode sticking up in the air like that. Get something that's a bit more flush. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm headed, I think, with this saw, is to just figure out a better spark plug. Now, what do you say we get a compression test on this? So in the meantime, I'm looking down in here to see my wash pattern. I can tell you it's pretty crummy. Which, I mean, look how fat I had it tuned. So hopefully that cleans up as I sort some of this stuff out. This might actually, once I sort this plug thing out, it might actually gain power because we're not sticking the plug right down into the source of the flame, if you know what I mean. Right into the worst part of it. I've seen in the racing world where just a slight difference in the gap of the plug can change power, you know, power characteristics a decent amount. So, you know, spark can play a big role here. And this is the first time I've ran into any sort of an issue where I needed to play with the plug the amount that I do. So definitely a new one for me, but I think I'm definitely headed down the right path because of the results we've seen so far. Now, let's give this thing a yank. Let's see what happens. Hey, it's higher than I thought it would be. I'd say 210 pound. You probably can't see it. Yeah, I'm gonna say 210 pound of compression. Now that's, I can tell you the rings aren't seated, or the ring isn't seated, but compression is better than I thought it'd be. So now I'm just gonna see if I can figure out a better solution for the plug. Obvious difference between the two cutting videos, and it was definitely plug related. So, all right, this is just an example for you for what I'm talking about with the spark plugs. This is the NGK plug right here. You can see how the electrode is on it. This is the Champion CJ8. You see the difference in the way the electrode is? This is kind of what I'm talking about. We're probably going to try a Champion CJ8 at it because the electrode is set up on is, you know, quite a bit different. You can get away with these whenever you have clearance issues in your engine by switching to the Champion plug. So I actually don't know if this plug's any good. It's an old plug. I pulled it out of an old engine. So I might give that a try. I could even double up my crush washer, couldn't I? And give myself even more. I think I'll do that. I'll put this plug in with a double crush washer and see how that makes a difference. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about as far as the plugs sticking, you know, down into the combustion chamber a bit. And that's kind of the testing we're doing, you know, just kind of figuring out what plug we need. All right, so now that that's over, let's go ahead and make some test cuts and see if we notice any differences. Alrighty. right, I should have added some fuel, but I'll be honest, it feels like I lost torque. So that's the CG8 plug with the extra crush washer. Maybe I should pull that extra crush washer out. You know what I mean? It definitely lost torque, and it has a touch of that breakup, like you're running just a touch rich. So maybe that's the coil I'm hearing. I never thought about that. Maybe I'm hearing the coil, you know? Yeah, I never really thought about it. You know, these things are known not to have the best coil setup. And I was originally planning on having to change it out. Maybe that's what I'm noticing all along, is the coil. So that's something we're gonna have to explore. I didn't really notice a difference though with this plug. It didn't really make a difference at all. So definitely gonna have to explore that a little more. Because with this plug, I made a considerable change by where it sits in the combustion chamber, and I can tell you this one did not make a difference. So I think we've gone as far as we can with the plug. We might be stuck with what we got. In fact, I think the other plug ran better, to be honest with you. But we might be stuck with what we got, and we might actually need to explore the coil. Maybe throw a 620 coil in it, or do some timing work, because I haven't done any timing advance to this saw yet. So, you know what I mean? Might need to explore some timing things on this too. All right, so yeah, not really a difference there, changing out the types of plugs, but let me get something here to hold it. I can tell you what's happening here is we're getting closer to the correct tune, I guess you could say. This freaking plug is hot. I'm trying to pick it up. So until I burn my fingers, that's what you get. So definitely getting better with the tune. So I'm going to go ahead with that other plug, with the NGK plug, just because it felt better. It felt like it had more torque behind it. So either adding this extra crush washer to the Champion was wrong, or I don't know, something. But I can tell you that Champion plug is a little old, and it might just be that. She's a pretty old plug. I pulled it out of an old home light. So there's no telling how old that plug is. I can tell you she's got some rust on it, which, you know, that could be causing all my issues. You know what I mean? But I'm going to go ahead with that NGK plug. I think that we've explored that option with the spark plug as much as we possibly can. And I think we should start looking at the coil more, if you know what I mean. Heat issues or whatever. I mean, this saw does not run any hotter temperature-wise. Like, it doesn't feel any different than a lot of my other saws. I mean, I got saws that have that same issue, and it's worse. So, you know, is this really something that we should be that concerned with, is kind of my question. I have saws that are worse with that, and maybe it's a coil or a timing issue, because I don't typically do timing advances, or I don't retard them or anything. I usually just leave them where they are from the factory. And, you know, we could be in a situation where, you know, playing with the timing a little bit might be our solution, or it just might be that the coils can only handle so much, and I'm trying to put them through, you know, a little more than what they can handle. You know, you build a race car, one of the things you do is you put a new ignition system in it, because it's needed. You know, what's our option with chainsaws? So, you know what I mean? Maybe we're exploring something here, trying to clean something up that's just not going to be possible. You know what I mean? It's quite possible this is just the way it's going to have to be. So, yeah. The NGK is back in it the way it was, and we're good to go. I think we're going to throw this all on the shelf and get to work on the next Solfest saw. Or, I mean, I got 2 of them that I got to tear down that you've already seen. And then we're going to tear down the 50 again. So, and that'll be like the 3rd or 4th time I have to wear it down. So, yeah, those are the next 2 things I'm getting ready to tear into, is to get those 2 sorted out. The 385, you guys haven't seen the 385 in forever. Just be patient. We're getting some dyno work done to it. So you'll see the 385 again here coming in probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Probably just before we're getting ready to go to Solfest, it'll be here and back up and running and everything. So yeah, you'll get to see the 385 again here, but we're going to do a video showing some dyno results on it and everything. So I was going to talk about one other thing, but I forget what it was. So yeah, we'll make this the video. Alrighty, so catch you later. Oh, I forgot to say one thing. We are now 3 cutting sessions into this saw, and that was the end of the 2nd tank of fuel. So 2 tanks of fuel, 3 cutting sessions, still no leaks around the head. So let's keep it as it is and see how long it takes to get a leak. You know what I mean?